接続。
Set before the Allied storming of Normandy during World War II, Overlord is an action horror movie that follows a unit of paratroopers sent behind enemy lines and end up getting more than they bargained for. After managing to make their way to the village of Ciel Blanc, one of the surviving paratroopers, Boyce, finds his way under a church they were tasked to infiltrate. There he discovers a secret lab where Nazi scientist Dr. Schmidt had been conducting experiments to create a super soldier serum. The serum's general aim was to enhance and perfect the recipient's physiology, but due to its unstable properties, negative psychological traits, like say, madness, were unavoidable. Hey guys, what's happening? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained, and as requested, today we're going to explore the super soldier serum featured in Overlord. Discovered embedded in the ground beneath the Ciel Blanc church by the Germans, the mysterious tar substance was found to have intriguing effects during various forms of filtration and refinement. When we're first introduced to the super soldier serum in Overlord, it appears as a red translucent liquid, a product of the refinement process the tar must undergo before being used. The German commander, Captain Waffner, explains on several occasions that it's an instrument that will create Hitler's 1,000-year Reich, indicating that they were planning to use it to give birth to an unstoppable army.
What just happened?
The 1,000-year Reich. These 1,000-year soldiers.
While the movie does show the serum having effects on a live human body, it was mostly intended to be used on dead cadavers. Dr. Schmidt even warns Waffner that the serum had never been formally tested on a live body before the injured captain injected himself with it. This fact, along with several other hints throughout the movie, show that the serum was still unstable and not yet ready for mass distribution. Despite not yet being in a completed state, the serum was capable of bringing people back from the dead, but had the side effect of also making them extremely volatile and hard to kill. In order to perfect its efficacy, Schmidt used the villagers of Ciel Blanc in strange experiments with the assistance of Waffner and his men. Refinement typically needs a filtration system to remove unwanted components, and in the case of the tar serum, that system was live human bodies. We see this when Boyce discovers the lab and finds a number of large nondescript bags filled with people and pipes strung up above the tar pit. What's likely happening here is that the tar has been taken through the body's natural filter organs such as the kidney to refine it down to the translucent red substance we see in the syringes. We get an indication of this when Boyce finds Rosenfeld strapped to a table, intubated in two ends, with one part down his throat while the other is pierced through his left side as an exit for the tar after it was filtered. Those who survived the procedures were then taken out or returned to their families, as is evident with Chloe's aunt, who's mentioned as being incredibly sick throughout the film and shown to have gone through a hideous transformation. For a substance found deep underground, the tar serum has some incredibly miraculous yet horrific effects on the human body that vary depending on whether that body was alive or not. Schmidt executes the procedure on a dead body, and after receiving the injection through its chest, the cadaver's entire muscle system is reactivated with violent spasms, but stopped moving shortly thereafter. We see a similar situation with Chase in the attic. Overcome with grief and desperation, Boyce jabs the serum into his friend's chest, bringing him back from the dead and onto his feet. Considering Chase had only just died, while the cadaver used by Schmidt had likely been dead for ages, I think that the speed and effectiveness of the serum depends on how recently the cardiovascular and neurological systems were active.
What is this shit?
I'm simply an officer for the Fuhrer. I know nothing of what the doctor does.
After being resurrected, Chase initially appears to move and speak normally, but it doesn't take long for the serum to fully take hold, increasing his strength and volatility, with the caveat of also making him unaffected by harm. In real life, our muscles actually have a lot more power than we're able to use due to natural limiters that keep us from severely injuring ourselves. It's part of the reason why some people have been documented performing extraordinary feats of strength when under dire circumstances, in examples where these limiters were overcome and the person was spurred on by adrenaline and other hormones.
Nothing short of a miracle. Little Mario is up and talking with only a few scrapes and bruises. His family grateful to a neighbor who lifted the car with his bare hands to save the boy.
His whole body was stuck sideways. His ribs were under here. I just grabbed the car and just lifted it up. I mean, the adrenaline was pumping so much, tires came off at least a good 10 inches off the ground.
Once applied to a subject's major muscle groups, the serum causes immediate changes, increasing cell division and cell density of synthetic protein complexes, and enhancing the subject's metabolic processes. At the same time, the effects of dopamine, testosterone, adrenaline, as well as various other endorphins and hormones are augmented to further amplify physical performance, healing abilities, in addition to resistance to toxins, pathogens, and pain, effectively granting an enhanced and perfected physiology with superhuman physical abilities, with the downside of having a near opposite effect to mental processes. Considering that the tar's base component is oil, the original substance must have gone through several chemical reactions over many years, much like the splinter creature we covered last week. During this time, other organisms like a cordyceps-type fungus may have embedded itself in the tar, evolving with it to create a microbial parasite. When cordyceps typically invades a host body, it takes over by replacing its tissue, leading to multiple species behaving erratically. We also know that the human muscles are limited by the brain to avoid self-harm, so considering how increasingly erratic Chase became and how violently the cadaver's muscles moved, I think that it's likely that a parasitic organism was actually taking control over their brain. With that having been said, it's not until the serum is injected into a live body that its super soldier properties truly begin to appear. Beyond the superhuman strength and near immortality it gives, the serum causes uncontrollable mutations seen in both Waffner and Ford, the only two live subjects we see getting injected with the serum. Both men had deep wounds that should have killed them. I mean, Waffner was shot in the face and had a gaping hole in his mouth that slowly healed, while Ford's huge chest wound also instantly began healing itself after he's injected with the serum. Unlike their resurrected counterparts, both Waffner and Ford were in control of their actions. However, as time went by, we could see that the two men were slowly losing their mental faculties. Waffner was already a cruel sadist, and after receiving the serum, he became increasingly more aggressive. And similar to his role in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Wyatt Russell's Ford chooses to also inject himself with the serum, albeit this time for selfless reasons. After eventually defeating Waffner and tossing him into the tar, he comes to the realization that he's not going to have it all together for long.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Ford! No, Ford, open the gate! Listen, look at me. Oh, hey. I was never getting back. This shit. Our side shouldn't have it either.
Given the fact that infected hosts are no longer constrained by pain, the only way to take them out is by destroying the brain. The biggest clue that gives credence to this theory is the talking head Boyce finds when he first enters the lab. Despite missing her body, the woman's head was fully functional, and she was unfortunately very much aware of what was happening to her. Fire and C4 also gets the job done. Chloe and some of the soldiers use flamethrowers to put down infected subjects, and both Ford and Waffner wind up getting obliterated by an explosion. Now, while most of the serum is destroyed thanks to the actions of our squad, it's important to note that Rosenfeld was used as a filtration system and would still have traces of the tar in his body, as would Chase's body, which wasn't in the vicinity of the explosion. Our heroes will likely take the secret to their graves, but if the Allied forces learn the truth and get their hands on either body, there's no doubt that they would start creating super soldiers of their own. After all, a 1,000-year army is too irresistible a prospect for any nation to resist. With that being said, that's all for today, folks. Thanks to everyone who requested we cover Overlord. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay up to date on all my content. And if there's anything else you'd like to request, please don't hesitate to ask. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film and Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.